Hey everybody, David the AI Guide here. Welcome to another episode from our temporary production studio since we're in the process of moving. And also be sure to click the link below, get your free resource on AI. Why? Because you're going to have to use it at work in 2 or 3 years. Not program, I'm not saying that, but use a system that is AI driven. You will have to do that. And also check out my book on Amazon that tells you how AI is already impacting 10 different industries today, plus it gives a good quick history of AI. And this is a fast read. You can read the whole book in a few hours. So check it out on Amazon. It's priced reasonably, and I hope you like it. And thanks again for tuning in. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So today we're going to talk about satellite data. And AI is playing a key role in managing satellite data now. So why? Because did you know, I didn't know it, but did you know there's over 700 remote sensing satellites circling the Earth now, producing dozens to hundreds of images per day. This is millions and millions and millions of satellite images every year of our Earth. No human can manage that kind of data. It's way too much. And keep in mind that each satellite image is pretty big in terms of size of digital file, right? You're talking about something that is most likely at least a megabyte, could be much more than that. And so this is adding up to terabytes a day, vast data. So how has that data been managed when there are new satellites being launched every single week? Well, it turns out that a professor at the University of California, Santa Barbara, named Tama Carlton, who is at the Brin School of Environmental Science there at UCSB, has invented a low-cost tool to help countries and entities who are not wealthy access to this data. Why? Because up until now, you had to have very serious money to use and manage this volume of data, right? Because first you had to have data scientists to catalog everything, label everything, make sure everything is in a consistent format, and then you had to have machine learning engineers to program to be able to scan these millions and millions of images to find what you're looking for. So this was very, very expensive stuff. And Professor Carlton has invented a tool that will allow less wealthy countries and governments and educational institutions that are smaller to access this vast trove of data and be able to ask questions and get answers. So why is this important? Well, we all know, and this is not a political statement, it's a fact. We all know that the environment is changing. And what we're seeing around the world is either prolonged droughts in specific places, which dramatically impacts crop production and other things, or we're seeing heavy, heavy rainfall in a very short period of time that produces catastrophic flooding, and often that flooding is localized. So governments, research institutions, government officials, academic institutions, and businesses use this information to understand how they are able to cope with all of these changes, right? Because we have a global supply chain now, right? That means that goods are shipped all over the world and pieces come from all different parts of the world to make a finished product. And so that means with this extended supply chain, which has been heavily disrupted by COVID, and that's a whole different subject, but all of these satellite images are critical to know where you have to reroute transportation around a flooded area or a wildfire-stricken area, or many other things, right? So this data is critical to maintaining supply chains, to helping people get fed, to dealing with drought, to dealing with catastrophic flooding, and providing emergency resources into these regions that have been heavily impacted. All critical, but you need to be able to access it without having millions and millions of dollars to be able to do it. So these kind of tools are going to be very, very important. Why? Because AI can produce vast treasure troves of data, right? But you got to be able to access it, and if you can access it very affordably, that makes it much more equal for many different stakeholders to access that data. And this includes private citizens, right? I've told you about the example where NASA provides these kind of tools that can easily access huge amounts of data with their satellite images of other planets even, and they allow citizen scientists to examine this data and, for instance, find exoplanet candidates, planets that are outside of our solar system. And those candidates are found often now by citizen scientists and then followed up for confirmation by scientists at NASA or research institutions. So these kind of tools allow even citizens to access this huge amount of data. I mean, globally, we're talking exabytes, which is trillions of images of data, both of the Earth and through NASA and other space agencies of other places around the universe. And so AI opens up amazing opportunities, provided that it can be done affordably. So hopefully we'll see more and more of these data management tools come out of academic institutions like UCSB that will allow governments in Africa, governments in parts of Asia that don't have huge resources to better plan for their citizens, better cope with drought, better cope with flooding, better provide emergency resources, better plan urban development and transportation networks, many, many kinds of things. So hats off to Professor Carlton at UCSB, and we hope that continues. Click the link below, get your free AI resource. Everything in the resource is free as well. Free short courses on learning at a high level, not how to program, but learning more about AI. And get my book on Amazon, which will teach you a lot about what AI is doing right now. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time again from the temporary studio.